Hi, my name is Olisa Alcaraz, and I'll be presenting a lesson on 7th grade science. So as you guys came into class, you were each given a note card. This is going to be used as an entry ticket. Today, we're going to be learning about the muscular and skeletal system. So as your entry ticket, here is what you guys are going to be doing. On your note card, I want you all to write a 1 or 2 sentence prediction about whether you use a skeletal or muscular system more. And also, as you're writing this, think about a question. Do they work together? So I'm gonna give you guys each 3 minutes to write on your note card, and after that, I'll put the timer on the screen, and you all will have 3 to 4 minutes to write this prediction on your card. Okay guys, thank you for sharing some of your answers and responses to that. So today, you kind of have a hint of what we're learning at. We're going to be looking at the muscular and skeletal system functions. So our objective and TEAC for today is organisms and environment, and specifically the human organism. So today, you students are expected to identify the main functions of the human organism, including the skeletal and muscular systems. And specifically what you guys are going to be doing is, after completing our lesson today, you're going to express and distinguish the structures of the skeletal and muscular system with 90% accuracy, or hopefully that's what we're going to aim for. So today, right now, what we're going to do is we're going to look at a clip for about a minute and think about the question I asked you. Do they work together or do they work separately? So we're going to look at the clip and you guys can tell me for yourselves afterwards. So guys, after looking at that video, what did y'all think? What kind of movements did you see the dancers doing? Were their joints being moved like this? Were their bodies were shaking? But what kind of movements are those? So today, that's exactly what we're gonna find out. We're gonna find out what kind of functions are those. Are they single functions of just one kind of the skeletal muscles? Are they the bone structures working singularly, or are they working together? So let's get ready to find out. Okay, so for today's assignment, you guys are going to be paired up in groups to 3 to 4. And what I want you guys to do is, in your science notebooks, as you are rotating through the stations, you're going to have 5 to 6 minutes in each station. And as you see these stations, they're numbered 1 through 10. You're going to open them up, and here in station 1, for example, these are definitions. When you see them, you're going to write down these definitions in your own words, because this is a lot of words. So create your own definition of what it says on the front. So for example, this says skeletal system functions. When it gives you definition in your journal, write down the definition in your own words, and also think of an example in real life. How can you connect it to real life things in your own body, and something that you've seen, or maybe even something that you've experienced? And so like I said, you're gonna have 5 to 6 minutes in each station, and there will be a timer displayed on the board. And when you hear the bell go off, you're gonna be rotating to the next station and moving around. Okay guys, that was the final timer for the last station. We're gonna go back to our seats and then we're gonna review all these folders and the definitions of what they say inside of them. So starting with folder 1 at station 1, this is skeletal system functions. What it is, it says the skeletal system has many functions. It supports your body and gives it shape. It stores calcium and minerals. It protects internal organs such as the lungs and the brain. So, for example, what is one of your main bones that supports your brain? Your skull, that's what it is. Something that supports your lungs. Well, you use it every day. Breathe in, breathe out. That's your diaphragm. But what's also around your diaphragm? Your rib cage, right? So we continue on for our skeletal system structures. So the skeleton is made up of hard bones and flexible hard tissue called cartilage. So what is cartilage? That might be a word that you've never heard before. So cartilage is smooth, firm, and flexible tissue that is found on the end of bones. So here is a picture of what it is. So here in between bones is this soft, flexible part that allows your bones to move. So cartilage cushions and reduces friction in between bones and your joints. So an example of that, sometimes people say the thing, oh, I think I have arthritis in my bones. That's because they lose their cartilage as they get older. One of your other main structures is bones. So here we have many bones in our body. So there's something called a peristoeum. It's a hard membrane that covers the bone. There's compact bones, which is calcium and phosphorus, which are the minerals that we said that were in our bones, and they are deposited in the bones. So spongy bones are found beneath the compact bone in the long bones, such as the thigh bone, your arms, and it contains air pockets, which make the bone lighter. So bone marrow fills the bone cavities and the space in the spongy bone with either yellow or red marrow. So maybe you've seen someone donate blood and it comes out red, and in between the bone, is yellow bone marrow. And so yellow is something, it's the fat in the bone, and then red is your blood cells. So next we have our skeletal structures. So those are going to be known as our ligaments. So these are things that are connective tissues that holds the bones together at the joints. So imagine if we didn't have our ligaments, we'd kind of just be like a puddle on the floor or looking like Jello. So here we have different kinds of joints. So we have our pivot joints, which kind of sounds just like what you think it is. Bones pivot or rotate around a central point. So examples of these on our body are our wrists, our neck, which allow it to pivot and rotate, and also our elbows. Next we have our ball and socket joints. So these are the bones which are in a socket so that it can rotate in a circle. So these are your shoulders and your hips. So sometimes people have accidents, such like athletes, they have their hips come out of place, they pop out of place, and sometimes even their shoulders, when they tear them, or they pop out of place. So these joints are where bones meet, such as the knees and the elbows. So here in this photo, you can see exactly where they meet. There's other joints called gliding joints. So these are bones that glide over each other. So more examples are your wrists, your ankles, and your vertebrae. So when you are exercising, a lot of times in videos, they say it's very important that your ankles and your knees are right aligned, right over each other. That's because they glide over each other and they connect. If they're not, then you can hurt yourself. Something else are called hinge joints. So when you think of the word hinge, take a second, think about it. What is something that hinges? Maybe you've seen it around your house, maybe in the kitchen, maybe right behind me. A hinge. So these are also bones that hinge at central points like your knees, your elbows, and your fingers. So we have finally our muscular tissues. So these are tissues that can contract and expand, which create movement. So, do you think movement is important? Well, obviously, I'm moving right now. So, what kind of muscular tissues do we have? So, there's our skeletal muscular tissues, and then our smooth muscles, and then our cardiac. Cardiac sounds like what? Our heart. So, voluntary muscles that move bones in your arms or legs. That's what it is, voluntary. That means that you can do it. There's also the connective tissues that attach muscles to bones called tendons. So in your skeletal muscles, they work in pairs around the bone when one muscle contracts or flexes. So, you can flex a little bit and the other one is relaxing. So what do your smooth muscles do? Well, those are involuntary. So here was voluntary. That means you can decide when to do it. And the other one is involuntary. So involuntary muscles that work in internal organs like digestive system. So do you decide when your stomach is going to contract? No, not really. So then the next one is your cardiac muscles. So again, that's your heart. So those are also involuntary muscles. So they make your heart pump, and that helps your blood flow all around your body. So here we're going to go over some of our muscular tissue. So this is called striated, and when you look at the photo, it looks like what? Striated. It's striped. Right, so that's our muscle tissue. So those are attached to our bones by bundles of fibers known as the tendons. And so with that, what can we do? What are things that we can do? Well, when you exercise, are you sweaty or are you cold? Well, obviously you're going to be moving, so you're going to generate some heat. So those are going to be your cardiac and your smooth muscles, helping your body to create heat and using your blood flow. One of our other main functions that we do is our posture. What is in the middle of our back? Our spine, right? If you're slouching over, your back is gonna hurt, and you're thinking like, all right, maybe I should sit up straight, because otherwise you're also squishing your lungs. So posture is something that's very important in our skeletal system. So it also helps with our flexibility and our strength. So those are keys to maintaining proper posture in your shoulders, your spine, your hips, and even your knees. We have joint stabilization. So with joint stabilization, this helps skeletal muscles in your core protect your spine, your back, your abdominal muscles, and your pelvic muscles. So like I was saying with posture, if you're slouching over, that's gonna kind of squish your stomach and your lungs, which kind of hurts at the end of the day when your back is hurting and you're 10 years old and you think you have back pains, and you shouldn't be having back pains. And finally, we have movement. That's exactly what I did. I just made almost a full circle around here, and that's because I'm using my skeletal muscles and my movement. So your skeletal muscles are responsible for movements that you make because the muscles are attached to your bones. So one of the questions that I can think of right now is, I was doing some movement, but was it voluntary or involuntary? Okay guys, I'm really liking the feedback that I'm hearing from you working with your partners, but now it's time to end our discussions and come back together as a group. So to end our discussions, I'm gonna pull our popsicle sticks from our names, and I want you all to give me examples of real life examples of movement, of structures that you've seen, maybe of some types of joints that you've heard of, and maybe some joints that you have in your own body. Okay guys, those were also really great examples. So I appreciate you all for working together, working with your partners, and I want you all to put away your journals and come and sit down until the bell rings. Thank you all.